So we all enjoyed Turner and Hooch. We all enjoyed Canine. Does this film Muzzle stand up to those? Let's find out in my review. Hello everyone. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review for Muzzle, this 2023 crime thriller, canine dog unit police procedural movie, rate 15, with a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes. Directed by John Stolberg Jr. and written by Carlisle Eubank and John Stolberg Jr. himself. Film stars Aaron Eckhart as Jake Rosso, Stephen Lang as Leyland, and some other actors obviously in the mix as well. This film follows the story of Jake Rosso and his partner, his dog, but his dog is killed at the beginning of the film, and this leads him into investigating this drug cartel underground movement thing that are partly responsible for the death of his dog, while taking on a new partner in the form of another dog, and thusly the story proceeds like that. Now this film here, it's not a comedy, it's not light-hearted, it's not family friendly in that sense. This is a dark and gritty take on this genre of movie. It is a film that has quite a complex story in a sense, that sort of twists and turns and goes down quite a dark path into what is happening with certain dogs of this ilk, the drug type of dogs, the ones that sniff out drugs. These dogs are actually being used by the cartel to help find the drugs that are being smuggled into the country, but the dogs at the same time are also being injected with drugs to basically give them a high, to give them dependency and all this sort of a thing. It's quite a sort of harrowing story backdrop if you think that this sort of thing is actually happening out there. Now this film here boasts a wonderful performance by Aaron Eckhart himself, who is a very underrated actor. He's a very good actor and I don't think we see enough of him in stuff. Stephen Lang's performance is great, but he's only in the film in a small capacity. He hasn't got a major role within the movie whatsoever. More of an extended cameo. He pops up a couple of times. The film is gritty in its subtext, in its story. It's gritty in the way that it is filmed. The character of Jake does go on a journey throughout the film. We find out a lot about his past, his time in Iraq, whether he's suffering PTSD, how this is affecting his current job and career as a police officer in the Canine unit. He has his struggles and all this sort of a thing. And what we're left with is a movie that I actually sat down and I enjoyed. I enjoyed this film. Like I said, at 140 minutes, it ain't got an offensive runtime. It's a nice, concise runtime. But yeah, you can't go into this expecting the comedy side of a dog and a buddy team up, this sort of thing. It hasn't got the heart-wrenching stuff that some of these films do have, because even though I said, like at the beginning, his partner, his dog does pass away, and he has to take on another dog. The dog that passes away at the beginning, you haven't got enough time to understand, appreciate the dog, that it hurts when you see it pass away. It has no real impact on you because you haven't got to know it. And the new dog itself is it's got a complex history, backstory itself, delving into the past with these drug dealers and all this sort of stuff. It's not a bad film whatsoever. Now, a while ago, I know there was a Channing Tatum film. I think it was simply called Dog. As a comparison to that piece, which I suppose this one I could compare to that, this is far better than that film. I did struggle with that film. If you saw that film, I didn't think that was particularly good at all. You couldn't connect with the dog, and even though here we have a darker take and a darker story with the dog and with the dogs within the film, you have more of an emotional bond with the dog in this one than what you did end up with in that. So for me, it was an enjoyable film. Sat down, watched it. The runtime passed by without, you know, a drag in. However, I'm not sure that it's the sort of film that I would give a second watch to, because of its darker nature in storytelling. I don't know whether it lends itself for me to an additional watch. So as for one that I'd get in the collection, I'm not entirely sure. That remains to be seen, see how I feel on it, sleep on it a bit. But definitely worth a watch. It's, you know, it's a solid film with an interesting, thought-provoking story, rather gritty, well filmed, well acted. There we have it. Muzzle.